Remember the smell of roast turkey wafting through the house on Christmas morning? In the 1970s, this classic dish wasn't just a meal, it was the heart of holiday traditions. Did you know that during this time, Americans gobbled up a whopping 560 to 500 gallons of jellied cranberry sauce each holiday season? From fruity breads to the centerpiece of the feast, Christmas dinner in the 70s was a tale of two titans. Turkey may have been the reigning champ, but there was a beefy challenger rising through the ranks. What made some families ditch the bird for this mouth-watering alternative? Let's carve into the main event and find out. The classic roast turkey with cranberry sauce has been a Christmas staple for generations. It's no wonder, really. This combo perfectly captures the essence of holiday indulgence. Did you know that during the festive season, Americans gobble up a whopping 500 gallons of jellied cranberry sauce? That's right, folks. 20% of all cranberry sales happen around Christmas time. Talk about a berry merry feast. But hold on to your dinner plates because there's a new player at the table. Enter prime rib, the rising star of 1970s Christmas dinners. This juicy cut of beef was making waves in households across the country, and for good reason. Back in the day, you could snag a pound of prime rib for just $2.75. That's a far cry from today's prices. This affordability made it a tempting choice for middle-class families looking to add a touch of luxury to their holiday spread. Now, you might be wondering, why the sudden beef craze? Well, it all ties back to the Industrial Revolution. Improved butchering standards made prime rib more accessible, and its popularity soared. As the 70s rolled on, more and more families were swapping their turkey basters for meat thermometers. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Both dishes had their merits. Turkey was deeply rooted in tradition, symbolizing family gatherings and abundance. It was the perfect centerpiece for large get-togethers, providing plenty of meat to go around, and don't forget those coveted leftovers. Prime rib, on the other hand, offered a more sophisticated dining experience. It was a chance for home cooks to show off their culinary skills and impress their guests. Preparing these dishes was a labor of love. Turkey required hours of basting and careful monitoring to achieve that perfect golden brown skin. Prime rib, while simpler to cook, demanded precision to get that ideal medium-rare doneness. Both had their challenges, but the end result was always worth the effort. As the decade progressed, the trend of serving prime rib at Christmas dinners grew stronger. It wasn't just about the meat, though. This shift reflected broader changes in American dining culture. The 70s saw the rise of fondue parties and other social dining experiences that emphasized communal eating. Prime rib fit right into this trend, offering a more interactive and luxurious meal experience. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much! Now, back to the video. While the battle between turkey and prime rib raged on, a quiet revolution was happening on the sidelines. What humble vegetable became an unexpected holiday sensation? And why did Americans suddenly crave a soup that was anything but clear? The side dishes of the 1970s Christmas dinner tell a fascinating story of culinary evolution. Let's start with a classic, stuffing. This savory delight made the leap from Thanksgiving to Christmas tables, becoming a year-round holiday favorite. Stuffing wasn't just delicious, it was versatile. Families could personalize it with their own mix of herbs, spices, and add-ins, making each recipe unique. But the real veggie star of the 70s Christmas dinner? Honey-glazed spiced carrots. These sweet and savory treats became all the rage as America rediscovered its love for sweet flavors. The combination of honey's natural sweetness with warm spices like cinnamon or nutmeg created a dish that was both comforting and exciting. It was the perfect way to jazz up a sometimes overlooked vegetable. Now, let's talk potatoes. Mashed potatoes were always a hit, but the 70s saw the rise of a more sophisticated spud, potato au gratin. This creamy, cheesy dish had its roots in 16th century Europe, but it found a special place on American holiday tables during the 1970s. What made it so popular? its rich, indulgent flavor and that crispy, golden brown crust that formed on top. It was simple enough for home cooks to master, but elegant enough to impress dinner guests. Remember how we mentioned a soup that was anything but clear? Enter French onion soup. This hearty, flavorful dish saw a surge in popularity during the 70s, and we have one person to thank for that: Julia Child. Her cookbook, Mastering the Art of French Cooking, introduced French cuisine to a broader American audience, and French onion soup quickly became a trendy choice for holiday gatherings. Julia's influence went beyond just popularizing the soup. She showed Americans that they could bring a touch of gourmet flair to their home cooking. Suddenly, serving French onion soup at Christmas dinner wasn't just delicious. It was a way to show off your culinary skills and worldliness. These side dishes didn't just complement the main course, they added depth and variety to the holiday spread. The 70s Christmas dinner table was a colorful array of flavors and textures. You had the sweetness of the carrots, the richness of the potato au gratin, the heartiness of the French onion soup, and the comforting familiarity of the stuffing. It was a feast for the senses. As families explored new flavors at the dinner table, a revolution was brewing in the living room. What simple snack, born from a 1950s cookbook, became the unlikely star of every 70s Christmas gathering? The answer might make you rethink your holiday menu. Let's rewind to 1957 when Betty Crocker introduced a little treat that would soon become a holiday sensation: pigs in a blanket. These bite-sized sausages wrapped in flaky pastry quickly won the hearts and taste buds of Americans. By the 1970s, they were the must-have appetizer at every Christmas party. Why? They were easy to make, fun to eat, and perfect for mingling. Plus, who could resist that savory sweet combination? But pigs in a blanket weren't the only stars of the appetizer spread. As health consciousness began to creep into holiday feasting, Christmas meatballs emerged as a protein-packed alternative to traditional puddings. These savory bites offered a satisfying contrast to the sweetness that typically dominated holiday treats. Imagine the aroma of spiced meatballs wafting through the house, mingling with the scent of pine from the Christmas tree. It's no wonder they became a staple at festive gatherings. For those looking to add a touch of sophistication to their holiday spread, stuffed mushrooms were the go-to choice. Often infused with garlic, these little umami bombs complemented the savory flavors of the main dishes. They were small enough to pop in your mouth in one bite, but packed enough flavor to leave a lasting impression. Plus, they looked fancy on a serving platter, adding a touch of elegance to any holiday buffet. Now, remember that revolution we mentioned? Here's where it gets good. The 1970s saw the rise of a dining trend that would change the way we socialize at parties: fondue. Suddenly, electric fondue pots became a must-have item, transforming Christmas gatherings into interactive culinary experiences. These pots were so popular that they often featured in Black Friday sales, becoming the hot gift item of the season. Picture this: a group of friends or family gathered around a bubbling pot of melted cheese or chocolate, dipping bits of bread, fruit, or meat. It wasn't just about eating anymore. It was about creating a shared experience. Fondue parties turned dining into a social event, encouraging conversation and laughter as people reached across the table for their next bite. The popularity of these appetizers and snacks reflects a broader shift in how Americans approached holiday gatherings in the 1970s. It wasn't just about sitting down to a formal dinner anymore. The focus was on creating a more relaxed, social atmosphere where people could mingle, nibble, and chat throughout the evening. These finger foods were perfect for this new style of entertaining. Pigs in a blanket could be eaten in one or two bites, allowing for easy conversation between mouthfuls. Meatballs could be speared with a toothpick, making them ideal for guests to grab as they moved around the room. Stuffed mushrooms added a touch of elegance without requiring guests to sit down with a knife and fork. While savory snacks ruled the cocktail hour, desserts held their own special place in 1970s Christmas celebrations. But one sweet treat was so beloved, it drove a fifth of its key ingredients' annual sales. Can you guess which festive favorite had Americans buying in bulk? Let's start with a dessert that perfectly captured the spirit of a 1970s Christmas: meringue snowballs. These fluffy white treats weren't just pretty to look at, they packed a serious flavor punch. Imagine biting into a light, airy shell only to be greeted by a burst of sweet filling. Lemon jelly, candied chestnut, vanilla cream, or hazelnut praline. These snowballs had it all. They were a hit at holiday parties, combining the decade's love for sweet flavors with a festive presentation that was hard to resist. But meringue snowballs weren't the only sweet sensation making waves in the 70s. Enter pumpkin bread, a comforting treat that found its way into many Christmas spreads. This seasonal favorite made good use of winter pumpkin harvests, offering a taste that was both earthy and indulgent. Cooking magazines like Good Housekeeping couldn't get enough of it, featuring pumpkin bread recipes that often included buttery walnuts for extra flavor and crunch. Now, here's a curveball for you. Remember shrimp cocktail? While it might seem more at home as an appetizer, this luxurious dish often made an appearance at the end of 1970s Christmas meals. Picture a glass filled with boiled tiger prawns, served with a tangy sauce. It was the perfect way to end a festive feast on a high note. But let's get back to those sweet treats. The 1970s was a decade that truly embraced its sweet tooth, and Christmas desserts were no exception. Along with meringue snowballs and pumpkin bread, families indulged in all sorts of sugary delights. From frosted sugar cookies to rich chocolate cakes, the dessert spread was a testament to the era's love for all things sweet. What made these desserts so special wasn't just their taste, but also how they reflected the culinary trends of the time. There was a growing focus on using fresh, seasonal ingredients, like those winter pumpkins in pumpkin bread, and presentation became increasingly important, with desserts like meringue snowballs designed to be as visually appealing as they were delicious. Remember that sweet treat we mentioned earlier, the one that drove a fifth of its key ingredients' annual sales? Well, it's time for the big reveal. Drum roll, please. It was cranberry sauce. That's right, this tart and tangy condiment was so popular during the holiday season that it accounted for 20% of annual cranberry sales. Whether it was homemade or came from a can, cranberry sauce was a must-have on 1970s Christmas tables.